Welcome back to Wordy Tales. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever held on to a relationship simply because you were afraid of the empty space that would be left behind? Have you ever kept knocking on a door, hoping that if you knocked just a little harder, the person on the other side would finally let you in? We are often told that forgiveness means saying, "I'm sorry." We are told that forgiveness means fixing what is broken or returning to the way things were. But there is another kind of forgiveness, a silent one. It does not mean forgetting the pain. It does not mean returning to a toxic place where you were hurt. Silent forgiveness means making a decision for your own peace. It means realizing that you are worth more than a closed door. Today, through three powerful fables about a rooster, a turtle, and a cat, we will learn a difficult but necessary lesson. We will learn why walking away is sometimes the highest form of self-respect. Before the first light of the sun touched the earth, Roco was already awake. The air was cold, and the mist still hugged the ground. But Roco stood tall on his post. Roco was not just a rooster, he was a guardian. Every morning, he filled his lungs with the crisp air and unleashed a powerful cry. His voice was a living alarm, waking the farmers to a new day, saving them from their own laziness. He believed with all his heart that he was essential. But what was his reward? Not gratitude, not a gentle pat on the head. Instead, he received insults. The farmer would open the window and scream, "Quiet, you useless bird! You are destroying our sleep." The other animals laughed at him. "Why do you try so hard, Roco?" they mocked. Stones were thrown at him without aim, but they hit his heart every time, day after day. Roco endured this humiliation. He absorbed their neglect, like a sponge absorbs dirty water. He told himself, "They will understand one day. I must keep protecting them." Until one cloudy morning, something inside Roco finally broke. He went to his favorite fence, but this time, he did not crow. He just sat there, looking at the gray horizon. He didn't feel anger. He felt a deep, heavy exhaustion that soaked into his bones. He thought to himself, "I have given them my voice. I have given them my vigilance. And in return, they give me stones." Where effort has no value, trying to prove yourself is foolish. Leaving with self-respect is the only solution left. Roco took a deep breath, looked at the farm one last time, crowed one final, sorrowful note, and flew away toward the unknown forest. That night, strange, heavy silence fell over the farm. The farmers slept deeply, happy that the noise was finally gone. But they forgot that silence often comes with a terrible price. Before dawn, thieves, who knew the farm's routine perfectly, crept in from the shadows. They knew the guardian was gone. There was no warning, no alarm, no fierce protector to scream at the danger. The thieves moved quietly. They stole the cattle, they stole the horses, and escaped into the dark without a sound. When the farmers woke up, the sun was shining, but their world was empty. Only then, amidst the silence of the empty barn, did they realize the truth. Roco didn't just wake them up. He protected them, but it was too late. The shield was gone. Jadi, Huang Lang Sui Ngam. Life teaches us a brutal truth. You never know the value of a protector until the enemy is at the gate. Silent forgiveness means removing your protection from those who chose not to respect it. Now, let us travel deeper into our journey. I will tell you two more fables, which may strike deep into your heart. By listening to these stories, you will understand why forgiveness is essential to free life from burden. On the bank of a vast, violent river, where the currents were strong and dangerous, lived a turtle named Atlas. Atlas was old, calm, and possessed a heart made of gold. But Atlas carried a heavy burden, a burden heavier than his thick shell. It was a friend named Zippy. Zippy was a restless, selfish frog who hated getting his feet wet in the cold water. He assumed, simply because Atlas was strong, that Atlas was obligated to carry him. For years, on every single day, Atlas swam against the violent waves. The water pushed him back. The whirlpools tried to drown him. His muscles ached with fatigue, but he kept swimming, with Zippy sitting dry and comfortable on his back. And what did Zippy do? Did he offer a kind word? No. He complained. "You are too slow today, Atlas," he would shout. "Keep the shell steady. You are shaking too much." But Atlas said nothing. He swallowed his pain. He thought, he is my friend. Friends help each other. One day, a terrible drought came to the land. The river level dropped, and large stones appeared, forming a natural bridge across the water. When Zippy saw the stones, his eyes lit up. He realized he could hop across them by himself, without a word, without a single glance at his old friend. Zippy jumped off Atlas's back. He thought, now I am free. I no longer need that slow, boring turtle. He hopped across the stones, laughing, leaving Atlas alone and behind him. Atlas stood there, frozen. He didn't feel the weight of his shell anymore. He felt the crushing weight of betrayal. He realized that he had not been a friend to Zippy. He had been a convenience. That night, under the pale moonlight, an old heron landed beside him. The heron looked at the tired turtle with ancient eyes and whispered, "Atlas, why do you cry? You have spent years being a bridge for others to cross. But remember this, a bridge stays stuck in one place while others move forward over it. Zippy has moved on. It is time for you to stop being a bridge and start being a traveler on your own river." A tear rolled down Atlas's wrinkled face. The truth washed over him like a healing rain. That day, he forgave himself. He promised his own soul that he would never again offer his back to those who did not know the meaning of respect. A few days later, the heavy rains returned. The river swelled into a raging monster, and the stones disappeared under the depths. Zippy returned to the bank. He looked at the scary water. He shivered. He looked for his taxi. He looked for Atlas. But Atlas was gone, far away, in the deep, peaceful waters. Atlas was swimming freely, with a light heart, and no burden on his back. The lesson is clear. Not everyone will value your sacrifice, but you must know when to put the burden down. Do not be a bridge for people who only use you to cross. Finally, let us walk to the corner of a neglected, snowy alley. Here lived a cat named Barnaby. Barnaby was not a beautiful cat. He was scarred. He was thin. He survived like a wounded soldier, fighting for scraps and running from cruel dogs. But Barnaby had a secret hope. Every morning, he sat in front of a luxurious house with a beautiful green door. There was an earthen bowl by the door. It was always empty. Dust gathered in it. Still, Barnaby went there every day. He sat in the snow, curling his tail around his freezing paws. He closed his eyes and imagined. He imagined that one day the door might open. He imagined a kind hand pouring warm, sweet milk into the bowl. Inside the house, a woman saw him every day through the glass window. She saw him shivering, but she never opened the door. She never gave even a drop of water. She simply closed the curtains. Yet Barnaby kept waiting, begging the universe, hoping her heart would change. One freezing winter morning, the snow was falling heavily. Barnaby was starving. He could barely feel his toes. Suddenly, a golden cat appeared beside him. The golden cat looked healthy, strong, and wise. He looked at the shivering Barnaby and asked softly, "Why do you sit here, my friend? You are turning into ice." Barnaby whispered through his chattering teeth, "They fed me once, years ago. They will feed me again. Just have to wait." The golden cat shook his head sadly and said, "Don't you know? This door will never open for you." Barnaby lowered his head. A tear froze on his whiskers. The golden cat continued, his voice like a warm breeze. You are in love with a memory, not a reality. You were not born just to wait. You were born to find your own happiness. The words pierced Barnaby's heart, deeper than the cold. He looked at the closed door. One last time. He looked at the empty bowl. He realized he had wasted his life, begging for love from a stone. He stood up. His legs were shaky, but his spirit was waking up. He didn't hiss. He didn't scratch the wood. He made a calm decision. Barnaby turned around and slowly walked away in the opposite direction. He walked until he found a bakery where the window was open, and the smell of fresh bread welcomed him in. He chose not to waste his life, sitting in front of a door that never opened. Knocking again and again on a closed door slowly kills the soul. Forgiveness means quietly stepping away from that door and finding your path anew. Learn to be like Barnaby, waiting in front of closed doors was not your destiny. My friend, life is too short to spend it begging. This silent forgiveness will make you stronger from within, because the one who learns to free himself quietly never truly loses. So, as you walk your own path, carry these three spirits in your heart. First, be like Roco. Understand that you cannot force people to value your protection. If your effort is met with insults, do not scream. Just leave. Let your silence teach them the value of your presence. Second, be like Atlas. Look at the burden on your back. Is it love or is it just a heavy stone? Remember, you are not a bridge for others to walk over. You are a traveler on your own journey. Put the user down and swim free. Third, be like Barnaby. Stop falling in love with a memory. Stop waiting for the good old days to return. Walking away from a closed door is not failure. It is the only way to find the open window that is waiting for you. Before we part ways, let's unlock 4 meaningful words from today's stories to enrich your vocabulary. Word number 1, humiliation. This is the painful feeling of being ashamed or losing your dignity. Example, Roco endured humiliation every morning until he realized he deserved better. Word number 2, obligated. This means feeling that you must do something because of duty, not love. Example, the frog wrongly assumed that Atlas was obligated to be his servant. Word number 3, resentment. This is the bitter anger you feel when you have been treated unfairly for a long time. Example, to find peace. Atlas had to let go of his resentment and forgive himself. Word number 4, to take for granted. This is a very common phrase. It means to fail to appreciate someone because you assume they will always be there, no matter how badly you treat them. Example, the farmers took Roco for granted and only understood his value when he was gone. If these stories healed a part of your soul today, please like, share, and comment "I am a traveler" below. Your support inspires me to create better stories. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video.